Okay guys, welcome back to part 2. So I hope you enjoyed part 1 and it was explanatory as I could. I do know that I didn't really speak much about the heat setting that I did throughout that journey. So we'll talk about that before we move on. This is Baby Miracle after I have, of course, done the bake. So as we talked about in part 1, when I did the red wash and then the blue wash, I did the red wash, let it dry and everything. Then I did the blue wash, let it dry, and then I baked it. I had no issues whatsoever. Everything went nice and smoothly. I didn't have any rubs or marks or anything. I have done a scratch test, so that was fine. I'll do that again in a minute. And then, as you know, we went and did the creases. So spent time doing the creases, let that all dry, of course, and then I baked it. Everything has gone absolutely smoothly. The paint has gone on smoothly. The baking's gone on smoothly. Everything is like 100%. It's really, really great. So I'll get up now and I'll show you. This is the belly plate. So you can see in comparison to the color that it was to what it is now. So this is probably a nice area here. So if I do a scratch test on that, there is nothing happening there whatsoever, nothing at all. So rubbing it with my fingers, no problem around the creases. And I'm doing it with my fingernails, no problem at all. So I can pretty much say that I'm loving it, absolutely loving the whole process. So now we're going to get on to doing those feature colors. I said the blue feature and then the yellow feature and then some mottling. So I'm just going to set up my table. Looks a little bit messy over there. It's just brushes and that, whatever. And then we're going to get started. Okay, so as I told you, I'm going to start with the features. So the first feature I'm going to do is the blue feature, then the yellow feature. I'm not going to bake it in between. I'm going to bake it after I do the yellow feature. And when I bake it, basically I bake it on about 100 to 110 degrees Celsius, and I bake it for about 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, that's if you're needing the time wise. So as you know, you're working with me at this particular rate. So this is the first time I've ever used this type of paint. So I'm doing a little bit of a testing process. So I'm going to use the marine blue again, and I'm going to use the half swipe. Now let me just say, this is about what comes in. The container is not completely filled. I mean, it probably is filled to the level, but then when it comes from France to Australia, it sort of pools into one area and then just sort of clumps up like that. But please note, if you get it like that, don't freak out and think, oh my God, half has been taken, or I'm not getting enough. This paint will do hundreds of babies. So I know this paint alone costs $39.95 Australian. I know that, and that is pretty expensive, especially if we want a few colors, right? I completely understand that, and then you might have to pay postage if you're an international customer. But seriously, it is going to do hundreds of babies. Of course, we haven't got to the matte varnish, the dewy skin, anything like that yet, so I don't know how long those products will last, but this will do hundreds of babies. I'm going to put myself out of business because you're going to buy this and you're not going to need to buy it for years. I'm not joking. It's that great. So within saying that, I will be making some smaller sets. So these are the bottles or jars I get directly from Phoenix Paints in France. It is a 30 ml size. That is all great, but I'm going to decanter these into make them into 3 sizes. So there'll be little 10 ml sets, and even at that, I think those paints, the colors alone will last quite a while. Many, many, many babies. So stay tuned for that. If I haven't done it and you're saying, I'm ready to buy it, just get in contact with me and it'll give me that push. I am just literally so busy with every single thing I do in my life. Like right now, I'd love to be watching a DVD, but at the same time, I really want to be with you guys. Okay, so a half a swipe. Let's get to that. Just the half swipe. And when I say half swipe, it just means on one of these flat brushes, I'm just covering half of it and I'm just coating it. There's not a thick amount there. Okay, so then we get our odorless solvent. This is the Art Spectrum one that I sell at Aussie Reborn Supplies. And I'm going to go for 2 ml. We're going to see how 2 ml goes for a start. Now, before I go ahead putting this on my beautiful baby Miracle, I have a test limb and I'm going to do it on the test limb first. So I do suggest, I'm going to have these formulas written down and be selling these sets in little paint sets with instructions. I'm going to make a tutorial book for those of you who prefer to read and have it in front of you. You don't want to watch me every single time you paint your baby. So I will have those available for you. But if you are playing with it alone, I always suggest getting a test limb and doing a test on the test limb first. So let me get that test limb. Let's do this test. Remember, always keep mixing your paint. This paint settles very easily. That's no problem though, because once it paints on, it is glorious. Okay, so I'm just going to paint it on like I would do for my features. Paint on, blend out. Paint on. It's painting on really nicely. It's blending out very nicely, but it's the level of strength that blue has. And we need to be able to see it. So give me a second. I'm going to try it, adding another half swipe. Just remember, when you're using any colors like blue or yellow, they're very lychee generally. They were lychee on the Genesis and they were lychee on the Magical Realism. You've got to, whoops, I'm making a mess. You've got to work quick. What are you doing, Annette? Giving a little splash. Miracle doesn't want a blue splash on her. If you splash, make sure you fix that. Silly. It's like 101 of reborning. Don't have the baby right there in case you splash. But anyway. Okay. So now if we re-talk about that mix, that was one whole swipe of one edge of a flat brush. Whoops. And 2 ml of odorless solvent. So let's see how this goes. I think that's going to be better. I'm going to let it sit for one millisecond, just so it sort of has its own settle time, right? Yep, that's it. Now, this is not going to be a huge blue that we can see, but you should be able to see like that little tinge of blue, which I can. So let's get to it. So when we're talking about doing the blue features, let's talk about that. Let me get comfy for a minute. I've got all this stuff under here. Okay, so blue features are all your low points, okay? So if you think about two mountains, you've got two mountains and you go down deep into a valley. So your two mountains, let's say, will be either side of a crease, and the crease in the middle will be that valley down below. So another way you can look at it is if you're looking at it in the sun, in the light, you'll be able to see all your low points. Some of them will be low points as in shadows, like down above the eyebrows there where we have that deep ravine, in the eyes, in the creases. But mainly we're looking not so much in all the creases, just in those deep points, like you can see in the top there of the fontanelle. That center part there is a deep ravine, like the valley. Above the brow there, you can see that color there. That's where we want to go, all those really low sort of shadowed parts. Okay, so I'm going to give this a mix, and we're going to start with all of the places on the face that look like a deep point. Mind you, if I am sweating right now, I cannot wait till it starts getting a little bit cooler. Today's our last day of summer. Woo! And I believe when it's cooler, I'll be able to work in here a lot more. Okay, so the first part I'm doing is that part up about the brow there. As you can see where I've done. It looks like a bit like a Nike tick there. You can see. And I'm going to blend that in. Make sure you're always keeping this brush dry, so tapping it out. So this blue feature will actually like accentuate that shadow look. So you can see just by looking at it, it looks like he's got angry eyebrows. But that is literally just a glow, okay? There's no huge blue marks there or anything. But of course, make sure it's very much so blended. Blending is the key. So now I'll do the other side. Maybe I might just do one side to start with. Yeah, I'm going to try to do one side so you can see. Just did in the center there. I'm going to do on that bridge of that nose. It's always a nice blue point. Down around the nose and the mouth there. In the mouth. A little bit on the chin there. Let's just blend that. Actually, that colouring has come really nicely. So remember that one swipe of the blue, 2 mil of the odorless. Difference already. I also do at this stage a little bit within the mouth too. The mouth is a little bit open, or you can see the tongue get in there. I work with a lot of people doing classes and everything, and it's really important to work on the mouth as well. Even if it is shut, that center part where the lips press together, there should be a little bit darker because you don't want it to be translucent. Our mouths aren't like that. It's like a mysterious little party in there. Okay, I'll also be doing that fontanelle on the head. Just in that center, like right there. And blend that. It's the most amazing part about this, which is just glorious, is that it's just a touch. It's just a touch. Like I can see it, naked eye can see that there's a difference. But it's not a huge difference. We don't want it to be a huge difference. If you want it to be a huge difference, if you really want to see the bridge of the nose and you really want to see the blue there, then you just need to go over it a few times or add a little bit more blue. But just be careful. Less is more. You're better off to do it, give it a rest, wait a moment, and then come back in and add to it. Not do it all at once. Okay, I'm going to do this other side here. Get in the corner of that eye again. Side of the nose there. Corner of the mouth, in the chin. Get in the mouth again. And this time I'm going to get my brush and I'm going to just do that little bit in the nostrils. Each step will be darkening them up. Okay. Get in the nostrils still. I need another brush. Where's another brush? Excuse me for a second. I need to get in with a smaller brush into those nostrils and in that mouth. Everything must be blended. You can't just leave it. Okay. So you can see, especially around the temples area there, you can see that darkening, just that bit of blue. So I'm going to hyperlapse the rest, but before I do, I'm going to tell you what I'm actually going to do. So, belly plate. Again, you're looking for dark points. I am going to do sort of under this chest plate area here, so just under that breast, just under here. It's easy to tell if you're looking at the sun or the light going down on it. So down in this part here where you can see it just goes into a low point, there won't be that much. So just under the chest, maybe also a little bit in these around the belly button and even on the belly button, because that's quite a blue point. So that will probably be about it. So under here, actually under this little V section of the chest here too, there as well. The hands. I'm going to do on the arms. There's not a lot of low points. Just check for low points. Like again, look at the light and see if you can see anything that looks like someone's almost had their thumb in it, you know, and that would be a low point. When I'm doing the hands, I always do the center of the palms. Sometimes I look at the fingers and think about, does it look like there's any low darkening points lower than others? And I might do at the bottom of the fingers. Down here, in the center of the wrist, I'll start that at the top. You can see on this hand here, I'm not sure if you can see, there's a line there that looks like a low point. I will do in there. Definitely on this hand where it's where the fingers are sort of crunching up like that, I will do in that low point there. Also in the elbow, that's, you know, come together like this. You can see my elbow looks darkened there. That's what we want to do. Any other plaits, or even at the bottom here, you can see at the elbow, might be able to see at the bottom of the elbow, there's a little dark spot there. I'll be doing that. The feet, of course, we always go in that little space there where you almost would put, it's sort of, you'd almost put your thumb on a baby's foot, like if you're holding baby's feet. Just imagine where you're holding your thumb, and it's always in that little arch there, which is underneath the big toe. So always underneath the big toe in that arch. Always imagine a footprint. So if you see a baby's footprint, there's all the 5 toes, and then there's this round part here. The arch part doesn't always, or it doesn't really show in their footprint. So that's the part we want to blue up. Under the toes, definitely under the toes, we'll put some blue in there. Any other down point features, like you can see on this toe here, there's a small downed area there. Lower below the ankle, imagine the ankle sort of hovering over, shadowing it like a building. Behind the knees. Okay, so we'll hyperlapse the rest of that. If you have any questions, please ask down below. But all you need to do is literally use your own common sense. You can take it outside, take a notepad, hold it under the light, and just say, okay, I want to, and you've got your pen, you say, I want to do some bluing under the eye, let's say, and you write that down, or in the temple. We also do in the ears as well, in those ear creases like we did before, do in those as well. So just write notes for yourself. If you have any questions, please ask, but we'll hyperlapse the rest of the blue. Okay, I can say I'm pretty happy with the blue tones. I mean, you can see them in those shadow points in the face, in the chest, up here, and in the belly button. I've tried to keep that a little bit more blue because I'd like it to be blue. You can see in the hand there, the feet, you can see some bluing, and under the toes. It's hard to see in the video, but it all is blended. And even in the ears there. Okay, let's go on to the yellow, shall we? So now it's time to go on with the yellow features. So for those of you who've watched plenty of my other videos before, you will know that the yellow feature is where you're hitting that real high point. So remember, the blue point was your low point. So in between your valley, something deep, the yellow feature is your high point. So tops of mountains, that type of thing. Think about anything that looks a high point. So the tips of the nose, tips of the brow, your chin, even tips of cheeks, tips of ears. When we get to the legs, we'll go the tips of the nose. I do like the tippy tips of like the knuckles on your toes, the tips of your toes, but not so much, but I still do a little go over them. Yeah, tips of your ankles. Sometimes you can look and you can see, like I can see right here, that there's a high point. So again, looking within this, like the light, what is the light showing you? The fingers, your actual knuckles, your elbow, even like these tips of your palms down here, anything that's poking up, just try to think of it as poking up bits. Obviously with say your nipples, no, because they're going to be like a brownie tone. So, but you can, you know, it's no problem to do a little bit on them. There's not a lot there. There's actually like a rib bone across there you can do. Even sometimes I try to do like if there's any shoulder blades that you can sort of see under there. So we'll just start. Those are the sort of points. I think you've got it. I think you can understand it. So I'll do the head, and then we will do hyperlapse for the rest. Okay, so let's just get the color right first. And once again, because I'm testing Phoenix heat set paints, you're coming along on the ride with me. So here we go, the yellow. I'm just using the actual yellow. Okay, and I'm going to go, oh, actually less is more. I know, I'm hearing it in my head. So half a swipe, and then we'll go 2 ml of the fluid, and we'll see how we go. We'll do a little bit on the testing limp. And if we need more, it'll probably turn out that it's going to be like a full side swipe. But let's just see how we go. Let's not jump ship yet. I've gone a little bit lower, but yeah, that's like half a swipe. Lucky you got me today. I had a full-on day with Amy, and I just didn't know if I'd get time to get onto this wrapped that I have. Okay, so I'm going to go, we'll go 2 ml, and let's see where that ship takes me, shall we? Let's put that there, and let's mix the yellow in. Okay, now 2 ml, don't forget, doesn't give you a lot. It's not a lot at all, but there's not many high points anyway, so I don't need a lot. So I'll just see how this goes and see if I need to add more yellow. So remember, half a swipe to 2 ml. So just do it on the kit directly. Get my little blending brush. I'm just leaving it there for a little moment. You know what? I think I'm feeling happy with it. It's one of those things you just don't want to go too far. But at the same time, you don't want to be going over and over and over the same area. I mean, I like to do that, but sometimes I don't. That doesn't make any sense, I know. I did it with the blue, so I can't see why not to do it with the yellow. Yep, actually, I'm just going to leave it at that. It looks like I've done... I can see it there. The telltale sign will be to do it on the actual kit. I know it's safe enough to do it on the kit, so let's do it on the kit. Okay, so let's come in with the nose. Making sure you keep mixing your paint mix, because as I said, the sediment always falls. Just a little tip on the nose and blend that. And I'll do the eyebrows. And blend that. I'm feeling pretty good about that. So I'm just going to keep going on the all the pieces that I said before, and then I'll see if I need to go back. I think I do need to go back because it's not very visible at all. I'm just not putting the pressure on me yet. So the chin, like tips of cheeks, sometimes you can just see that tippy tip of cheek. It won't be a muchness, won't be much at all. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to go over those baked places, but I'll just let them settle. Up there on that fontanelle area, I can see some high points in those 4 cross corners. So I'll just do them. You can see where I'm going to do them right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bit of moisture there. That's all right. I'll just go around in circles, back and forwards, just not going in the center where I did the blue. Okay, that's fine. And then those tips of the ears. You can even go like in those cartilage tips. Don't be afraid to sort of gently go on them. Just make sure whenever you're sort of pouncing them out, you're doing a gentle pounce. Because if you go too hard the pounce, you'll get into other areas that you don't want to. Gentle pounce stays where you're wanting to pounce. Okay, so I'll do over those spots again, and hopefully it's going to bring it up just that tad more. Otherwise, I made a mistake and I should have gone the full. This time I'm going to just literally paint all those pieces on and blend them when I get there. I think I've got time. That's one thing I did notice too, that this Phoenix heat set paint seemed to give you a little bit more time than the Genesis. And how do I say what I mean there? I think I did like something, I can't remember exactly what point it was, but I think it was when I was doing a little bit of the blue tone in the feature, and there was a little tiny point that I hadn't blended well, and I'd sort of finished everything. I'd like literally finished our video, and I was sort of moving on to sort of just clearing up my palette and everything, and I found it. And I thought, oh no, you know, blue. I'm sure it was blue. So I'm sure it was. because I was a little bit like, oh no, you know. Anyway, here I go rambling again. I came to it straight with the sponge and it blended straight away. Like, it just blended really quickly. It wasn't like a big pool or anything that had been left there. It was just a little bit, I thought needed a little bit more blending. And yeah, it worked really well. So I was really impressed with that, because normally with Genesis, you sort of, your time's up, your time's sort of gone. You really can't wipe it away. It's a blue, it's already leached. Yeah. So I'm feeling that's pretty good. I know you probably can't really fully see it there, but as you remember, I've done on the nose and those brow up the top and the chin. Did I blend that properly? Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's just a hint of yellow. So it's completely up to you. Probably wouldn't be scared to go with the full. Let me just do it. I probably won't do it on the head. I'm just going to add another. So I'm just going to put my hair up. It's a little bit hot here on this hot Queensland afternoon in Australia. So I'll just get my hair out of the way so I can focus more on what the task at hand is. So I'm just going to go get another half a swipe of the yellow and mix that in. Now, one thing about the yellow when I mixed it in, like you can see obviously there, that's a nice bright yellow. When I have mixed it, it actually looks a little bit mustardy. So that's different. Didn't feel like it was yucky or anything like that. So if that says anything, it's just a darker yellow once mixed. Nothing in it then other than that. Just thought I'd let you know. Okay. So I've just put it on this little test knee. It's definitely gone on nicely. You can see it there. Let's blend it in. Yeah, I think that might be the way to go, you know. Once again, I don't know how this is going to work in different climates. So I believe, you know, if you're using Phoenix, you know, you might be a bit artistic. You might be a little bit understanding of, you know, where it's at and everything. So think about it. Even do a half first, just like I did. Get an old test slim. Test it, see how you feel. If you're not really seeing it, you're just hinting seeing it, then I say add some more. But, you know, test it, play with it, you know, think about it. Yeah, like I'm saying, it's really hot here, you know. Sometimes I don't know what it's like. I've never been to a snow area, but if it's really cold, maybe it's going to be like, hey, go away. Now I'm going to put the yellow back on those spots that I had before, but I'm going to do it really quickly. I'm not going to let it sit there for ages or anything like that. So I'm gonna nose blend just to bring up that yellow. Yeah, definitely. And it's all about playing with it too and asking questions. One of my beautiful friends the other day, Mini Me Reborns actually, she was saying that when she used the red, she noticed it was a little bit orange, and I found the same. When I did that first red wash, as you saw, I did it fully red and it came out beautifully. It was really, really nice. But then future layers, like when I go to do my mottling, I'll be adding a little hint of blue to that mix, to that red mix, to bring it more up to be a richer red. So, you know, you've just got to play with it and think about it. Use your test limbs, you know. It's just about working with it. You know, nothing that's any good was ever meant to be fully easy, right? You got to be a you know, really good artist. You need to think about things, think about what you're doing. Take your time. Don't beat yourself up. That's a really big thing. Don't beat yourself up. But a test limb is really always important. You know, if you're unsure, it's better than going straight onto your beautiful, you know, expensive, you know, $500 kit. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more. I've obviously done those spaces I said. I'm not sure if you can see just that hint of yellow on the nose there. You can, I believe. I'm going to go up on those, like that Frankenstein brain there, just up the top, up here, because I really feel that that is poking out there. And I really, with this head, I really want to accentuate all of those grimacy features, because I just love them. It's what made me fall in love with Miracle when she came out, you know, like about 5 years ago. So yeah, I'm adding to that. I'm gonna go a little bit more. Actually, in those that little middle part there, that's really like a little bat wing in the center of her. Get that there. Remember, it's your baby. You're the artist. You've got to be able to see the features that you want to, you know, work on and make good, make nice. I'm gonna go on those eyebrows again. I'll also tell you after I've done this, once I've done the whole bake and everything, I'll be back to you. But this is after I've done the blue feature and now the yellow feature. Then I do my bake of those two. So I'll also be able to tell you if the color yellow or the color blue came more vibrant after a heat bake. It can happen. We never know. Okay, I'm kind of feeling, Annette, less is more. It's time to stop and move on to the limbs. She is beautiful. Oh, I just called it a she. Ooh. Okay. I love how you can see the blue in there from the blue feature we just did before. And the ears, you can see that there's that little yellow tinge there. Okay. Let's hyperlapse and go through the rest of the limbs. And just remember, I'll come back after I've done the whole bake and that, and I'll tell you exactly what I thought about if the color becomes more vibrant and everything. But play with it. You know, it's like Play-Doh for us, but always take little baby steps as you go. Okay, let's hyperlapse this. Okay, so hoping you can get a really good image of this right now and a likeness to what I can see with my eyes. You can see all those dark sort of points. They're the blue features that we've done. And then you can see the highlights of the yellow, which are the high features. And they look really quite incredible. I'm just loving all the colours that I can see throughout the baby already. It's just really pretty. So we've just done our bake of both the blue and yellow feature, and we're going to now start mottling, and I'll show you first how to mottle a sponge. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you how to mottle a mottling sponge. Many of you already know this, but for those who don't, it could be a benefit to you. Now at Aussie Reborn Supplies, we do sell a pack of 2 of these sponges already pre-mottled. I think it's only $8.50. That's Australian. Postage internationally would be extra, of course, but postage in Australia is free. So it's not really a bad price, actually, when you think about how much you pay for these in the store. You can actually also buy them from me unmottled, so you need to mottle them yourself, but you need to ask me about that. Anyway, rambling again. Okay, so we need a pair of tweezers, something like, I really like these with the flat end on them. I just feel that they pull and work so much better. So we just poke the tweezer onto the sponge itself. I give a little push down. You can see that my tweezers are like two legs separated apart. When you push down, you squeeze the two legs together and just pop it out. Literally like that, throw your little piece out. Now I double pick. So I go in that again, push down and pick again. So it's just that little bit deeper. Actually, I do it with a bit more pressure. So that's what you sort of want to be looking at. And then just sort of work around that. I mean, there's no exact way that you have to do it. Don't go too close. We don't want those mottle picks to connect. I'll just keep moving it around. You can go as small as you like we could just go like this, little picks. You can make them different shapes, like you can see how that's like a little bit of a, I don't know, a T there. You can go big. If you want to go big, go big. It's all right. Let's get in there deep, make that deeper. So no two mottling sponges will ever be the same pretty much, and that's what we like. So just go about like this. I might just speed this up for you so you can see what I'm doing and how we go. I just mottle around the top, by the way, too. And when you're using the mottling sponge, you can use the top or you can use the sides. I reuse my mottling sponge, so this I generally have three. One for blue tones, one for yellow tones, and one for red tones. Okay, so, and then you never wash them out. You just make sure they're always squeezed out on a paper towel, so they're nice and dry as much as possible, which I'll talk about in a minute. Look, I'm not even speeding this up. I'm too busy chatting. But anyway, you get the picture of what I'm doing here, and obviously it won't be a speed up version. So yeah, we reuse this over and over and over again. So there we go, a mottling sponge. Looks great. You can add a little piece if you find that you want to get one in another place. Just add it in. It's as simple as that. They're amazing, literally amazing. Okay, let's get to the mottling stage. Okay, so we're going to start the mottle. I've got a little test limb here, and we're going to see how I go, really. I'm going to play with you. So I'll get my palette out. Now with this mottle, I've got, like I generally do with Magical Realism, and they're my air dry paints here at Aussie Reborn Supply. So if you're a bit scared of heat set paints, you're welcome to come to my air dry paints. Similar hole working with actually has been quite good. Anyway, talking again. I do a blue mottle, a yellow mottle, a maroon mottle, a green mottle, and a purple mottle. So we're going to play and see if we're going to do that. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with the blue. Sorry, my hubby rang me literally as I'm talking to you. So like I said, we're going to start with the blue. Okay, now this is in the Phoenix Heat Set Paints. It's just called blue. So if you were to go on Aussie Reborn Supply's website and look at your colors, this would be blue, this would be marine blue. So always think of it like ultramarine blue, the darker blue, and this is blue. And then if we go into the lighter one, the turquoise, okay, or maybe a vein color. Okay, so that's those. So I'm going to do this as the blue mottle. I haven't tried this blue, so let's have a look together at what it looks like. Got my Pepsi Max here, guys. It's not far away as usual. Knowing how all the other colors worked, the features, everything else. Hang on. That was a little bit of a tough job, wasn't it? Okay. I believe I'm going to use one swipe. I'm just going to go for the jugular and go one swipe because everything else has been about that. Oh, must be, the weather must be, it is quite warm here, but this has started to, it's more thinner than it has been. So be careful of that. Be really careful about that, okay? Because when the sort of paints were here, they were a little bit, you could say stiff. They were more solid. And that's fine. It's fine. Don't be stressed about that. But it just means if it's like a bit more runny, which this one seems a little bit more runny, it can make you put more paint on your brush. So that's why I keep wiping off my brush there, because I just want it to be a light swipe. So I'm going to put that lid back on there and we'll go again for the 2mm. Okay. 2mm, guys. Let's give that a go. Bubbles. Okay. 2mm in my palette. I know you can't see that very well down there. So I'll try to bring that up a little bit for you to see. And I'm going to mix that in. I'm going to have a million interruptions today because I've got customers coming and I just want to get this video done. Okay. Well, thinking about the 2mm was probably a little bit wrong because remember when we're doing the mottling, that's going over the whole entire kit. So I'm actually going to bring that up to 3mm. So I'm going to add in another mil. I know you can't see what I'm doing that. So rehash your whole word. We're going 3mm of the odorless solvent and I'm going to do 2 swipes because this isn't a wash. We want it to be a little bit more visual. 2 swipes of the blue. Just make sure you're getting paint on your brush. Everything is, you know, a test and you guys literally are testing this with me. So there's nothing more, nothing more transparent than what I'm doing right now. You can see everything and how it's working. Okay. So I'll just make sure I mix all that sediment in. Mix, mix, mix. Okay. And now I'm going to get my mottling sponge. I know you can't see the palette in front of me, but I will show you when I'm actually working on the baby. And you just do a little swipe. Don't go too wet, okay? And let me just see how this works. I normally roll it on. Oh, I'm liking that already. I'm liking it already. I don't know how well you can see it. It's still a transparent color, but I really don't want to go hard. I don't want to go hard. So this is where I have to make that judgment of if is it enough? Is it enough blue? I think I might be able to add some more blue. I'm going to add some more blue. Before I keep going, I wanted to show you my mottling sponges. These are obviously using the wedges that we have used and loved forever. Aussie Reborn Supplies sells them. They're really easy going, but as you can see, they're quite old. Now this is where these sponges, I mean these are great, but I'm just saying to buy one of every color is really quite positive. Now I know it's an expensive outlay to begin with, but if you've got one in every color, see we've got different tones of greens here, we've got purple, we've got different blue tones, and we've got some orange tones there too. So I reuse them all the time as long as I'm squishing them out on the paper towel and getting any excess fluid out. There's nothing wrong with keep using them. So, you know, I can't stand when people get really cheap and nasty and they go, you know, for something cheap and nasty. Get a quality sponge to begin with, and then you can use it over and over and over again. It's saving your money. It really is. Okay, back to what I'm talking about. I'm going to use another swipe. I know, so that will be 3 mils of water, 3 swipes of the blue. Again, don't get too much paint on your brush. Sort of see what I've got there. It's not, there's no goop on there or anything. Okay, mix that in. Now you will see, especially since I'm using a testing limb, we will both see together if I'm taking it too far. I don't want to take it too far. No one wants to take it too far, right? But we want to get it right. Well, not the first time, but you know, I want to get it, so to speak, right. Like I always tell you, have a testing limb there. You're in a different climate to me. You might be in a different climate to me. And that's important to know, that sometimes weather can be a factor in how your paint treats you. If it's going to treat you rude or if it's going to be really nice. Okay, so again, make sure you're always, you know, obviously mixing your paint and swiping out any excess fluid. I can't stand it. People just, you know, get their brush straight from the palette and go straight on and just soak this. We don't want to do that. It needs to be less is more. We need to be really, you know, considering all the factors. They are a factor. If you have too much water, too much fluid, not water, it's thinners, too much fluid on this sponge, it won't work. You won't get a mottle. And I've had it happen before, and they say it doesn't mottle. Well, it depends how you're treating it. So yeah, make sure you get off any excess fluid. Okay, now let's have a look at this. I'm going to bring it a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, that's actually a little bit better. I'm seeing, I don't know if you guys can see there, I can see some light, just blue tones. Yep, I'm really, that's it. That's it. We nailed it. I nailed it. I'm so good. My God, give yourself a pat on the back, Annette. Thank you. All right, I'm really not mad. Okay, but I'm loving that. 3 mil odorless solvent to 3 swipes. Okay, all right. I'm gonna set my little area up, bring my baby back because I had it had baked. Now it's cooling. Make sure after you bake your baby that you let it cool. It needs to cool back down to normal temperature. No warmth in it, no heat in it, nothing. Let it cool down. Okay, so I'm going to set that all up, and we're going to come back. I'm going to do the head with you guys, and then I will hyperlapse the rest, and hopefully I'll get it in view properly this time. Okay, let's go do that. Okay, so I'm going to mottle the belly plate because it looks so good, and it's got that nice fat fleshy part that we can do, and that's what I'll do on all of them, and then I'll hyperlapse it. Okay, so I'll just give my mixture a mix, and then we go directly on. Now remember, when you're using your Phoenix heat set paints, you don't have to go by my tutorial. If you like your blue mottle to be a little bit more visual, then go ahead and add another swipe of blue. Okay, you need to test it yourself, you need to play with it yourself, and you know, sort of trust yourself a little bit as well. Okay, so just painting that on there, and then with this sponge I always roll on. That means I can get like all the little mottling dots in there. Now, never too far away do I have a blending brush. So if I get like a bit that's if you haven't swiped off your brush enough and you get like a splotch or something of blue that's a bit too rough, you know, go in there and just pounce it off. And as I said earlier, to have your paper towels close by. I didn't bring mine up here. I do have a cloth nappy here, it'll be fine. But always pounce this out if you're feeling like it's getting too wet. You can't have it too wet. We just don't want it too wet. We just want to be covering those dots. So you can see I'm just rolling it all over the belly plate there. Now, If you don't like the mottle all over your belly or all over wherever you're doing it, face, whatever, just do the areas you want to have a mottle. So let's say on the head, if you only wanted a little bit of mottle on the cheeks, then just do a little bit of mottle on the cheeks. That's fine. But you might be saying, well, what about the rest of the head? You know, like I'm trying to do the blue mottle, so normally that would be there, right? I'll just show you what you're to do. Okay, so I'll just finish mottling this. Don't want to miss anything. You can go back and go over it if you want to add a little bit more. Doesn't matter. You can see that I have got that mottle on the whole thing. It's looking quite nice actually. So I'll leave that there. That'll dry, getting ready. Okay, so back to my little testing limb. So I'm Joe Blow, and I say I only want mottle on this part of the leg, all right? So you do your mottle, you roll it on. Now remember, I didn't actually say this, but when you're doing your mottling, you're doing it gently. Do it gently. Don't press hard. You just literally want to be touching the skin, touching the surface, and rolling it gently on. There's no pressure in my hand at all there. But me being Joe Blow, I don't want any mottling down there. That's when the pressure comes in. So you press hard and you go over the same spot over and over again. And what it will give you is a flat look, not a mottle. I know you can't really see that, but remember, press the light roll or the light press. Even if you're using these sponges, it doesn't matter, just a light like that. But then when you come into the harder stuff, you're pressing. It's almost like you're squeezing out any moistures in there, squeezing those little holes. My beautiful friend Angela once told me the best way to show someone what mottling is looking like is get them a piece of paper. So if you get a piece of paper in front of yourself, you put your paint on your mottling sponge and just gently put it on the paper. You will see the mottling dots. But if you press harder, you won't. You'll see that those mottling dots will either shrink or they'll go completely away because you're putting that pressure on, which is taking away the mottle, right? If you don't like that, if you say, well, I really don't want to be putting all the pressure on, I don't want to be squeezing it all the time, then just get a literal cosmetic wedge, tear off the end so it's got a little bit of that textured feel to it, put your paint on it and just pounce it over your kit, completely over your kit like that. Have your blending brush ready to pounce as well. Okay, so that's it. So I like my whole kit to be mottled because I find that sometimes it doesn't show up in other places, and other places it does. It's almost like the kit talks to me and it does what it wants. So I go over the whole kit with my mottle everywhere. So the whole head, the whole legs. I don't leave out the mouth or anything. I'm not like critical about that. I find it never is detrimental. Okay, so I'm going to put it on hyperlapse now. I'm going to put it so you can actually see, and I'm going to go through the whole blue mottle on the kit. Okay, let's go to it now. Okay, so I'm going to show you my whole mixing process in case people are feeling a bit left out and like they're not getting to see what I'm really doing here. This will be a bit of transparency and you can sort of see what I'm working. You know what I'm talking about. So we're going back to the yellow because we're doing a yellow mottle this time. And this is the paint inside. I'm going to do one swipe again. We never know what we're going to get, literally. Some mottling might be more visual than others. So one swipe there. Again, not too much goop or bulk on it. We just want a sort of clear, flat bit of paint. Our odorless solvent, I'm going to go straight. I am going to go for 3 ml straight up because we're doing the whole kit anyway. And we need the right amount of fluid. Okay, so there's the 3 ml. Mix this yellow in. As I always speak about with my other paints, or when I've used yellow, used Genesis or used Magical Realism, some colours like blue and yellow are normally very leachy. So that's why it's better to start with less is more and work up from there. If I was to go, say, 3 swipes of yellow straight up that we had on the last tone, it might just be very detrimental. And we don't want to ruin anything. Okay, so let's see what this is going to give us. Now, I was really quick with my mottling sponge before, and I ripped out the center bit a bit more than I would have liked, so I'm just going to use these edges. I'm not going to waste it. Never waste. I've just got some paint on my brush on the edge up there, and I don't want that to sort of come down on my sponge. So just mix that in. That's a bit better. Okay, mix. Always mixing that sediment. Put some on my sponge. And let's put it on. Okay, you should be able to see the little mottling dots there. I'm not seeing any colour at all. I'm seeing a light glow of yellow. So I'm doing another swipe. Harder to see this time because it's already wet. My brush, that is. Now we could go to 3 for 3, but we're taking it up slow. You'll be able to go straight to what you need to do, which is good. So at the moment we're doing 2 swipes of paint to 3 ml of thinners. Let's give this another go. Just going to give it a look in this. You know, I think we can go one more, which is pretty incredible, really. Still saying that this paint's going to last for ages. It will still last for ages, so that's really, really, really positive. I think for me, 3 for 3 is going to be enough. You always can come back later. There's a little hair in there. You can always come back later and do more mottle if you like. But so far, so good. So let's test that. Yep, that's good. I can just see that hint of yellow in there, and it doesn't look like it's detrimental or going to affect anything majorly. So I'm going to put it on the belly now. So before I go, I wanted to sort of let you know, some people asked where we at with veins and stuff. I generally don't do veins on my babies anymore. Just because I find when I'm doing the mottling, you can see that blue mottle up there? When I'm doing the mottling, it sort of gives the vein effect look. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing veins. If you want to do veins, by all means, go and do veins. But I'm not doing it because I believe my mottle will do that. So I'll show you how we go on the belly plate. No seeing me this time. Sorry. I'm not in my pajamas or anything. I'm still wearing the same dress. Someone might think, oh no, she's just had a shower. No. Okay, so make sure you mix the paint again, not letting any sediment settle. Wipe out your brush. Paint onto your mottling sponge and literally roll over, roll over, roll over. Okay, I'm really loving that. That is so good. Don't forget to have close by your paper towel so we can get off any excess paint at any time. You don't really need to do it on the first one, but for your hyperlapse, well, I will for the hyperlapse. Okay, more paint. See, this will give a whole different mottle look because of the different shape. But there is still mottle. You can move your sponge around to turn the mottle, to give it a different angle, so it's not all looking so uniform. And for the belly plate, one more. Just down the bottom here. Beautiful. All done. I'm just loving it. It's glorious. Okay, so now I go to hyperlapse. I'm going to hyperlapse the rest of my yellow mottle, and then I'm going to bake. So at this stage, I'm baking every 2 layers. I'm sure you could go to 3. I really am sure you could go to 3. But just for the sake of, you know, sort of moving on and protecting what I'm doing 2. Okay, let's hyperlapse this. Okay, so no gender picking here, okay? It might have a headband on, but we still don't know if it's a girl or not. I'm completely not certain at this stage. I'm going to finish the video here because this video is already getting lengthy and I don't want you having to sit and wait and, oh, gross. Anyway, so the next video will go into the red mottle, the green mottle, and the purple mottle, and then hopefully work on some features. Again, I don't want to get the video too long, so we'll just see how we go, play it by ear with that. Tips at this stage, I'm not completely sure. I did know when I was working with that last yellow one and I was on the last leg, you know, the mixture, even though I did it fairly quickly, guys, but the mixture might have started to evaporate a little bit. So there was some, you know, yellow spots of mottle on the leg that were a little bit too prominent. So if you see that, the one thing great about working with Phoenix paints is I feel you can work on it pretty well, you know, even after it's sat for a little bit. So I just literally got my blending brush and I just blended that in, and the thickness of the yellow, you know, it sort of diminished, it went lighter, it went exactly how I wanted, exactly how the rest of the body is. Now, again, you might look at this baby, even in naked eye, I can see the mottle, so that's okay, but you may not see a great deal of mottling. Depends on what you're after. I can see a lot of detail under the skin, not as much full-on mottling. With the red, I'm thinking I want a little bit more mottle, so we'll get to that, and I'll probably use 4 swipes of red or something like that, maybe less odorless. We'll play with it and see how we go. But at this stage, everything's looking good. The coloring's coming up great on this baby. I'm really loving it. I sort of put it together, you know, proxy put together for you. It's sort of, they're not all tightened and everything, but I may be able to pick it up without some limbs falling off. Let's just have a look. I can, a little bit. Ever so gentle, I can feel it wanting to fall apart. So you can see, especially in the belly plate there, you can see a lot of detail, like there's changing of colour, and that's really what you want. Trying just to keep you in the daylight so you can really see in the face there. I'm starting to feel like she's a girl. Please, in your comments below, say girl or boy. I will take the headband off, so it'll give you more of a perspective. Girl or boy, please say below what you think. So yeah, and especially in the forehead up there, can you see all those little details? They're tiny little details. You can see some yellowing up there. That's all fine once we add in the red and the green and the purple, and then work on the detailing features like your blushes on your cheeks and your lips and your nails and everything. Everything will just blend in and it'll be incredible. I'm so excited. Don't touch her. I was almost going to put my head on her head, but that's not a good idea because I have got oils on my face that we don't want to get on baby. So her arm is falling off there. Oh look, I've gone and said it again. Her. But yeah, I'm really loving the work with her. I'm hoping you're enjoying our whole process as well. Stay tuned for part 3, and thank you everyone for your support of myself and Aussie Reborn Supplies working on Baby Miracle with Phoenix Heat Set Paints. Thanks until next time. Bye guys.